Steve moved round the vehicle so he could attack from behind. John anticipated that someone would emerge from in front of the Land Rover at any moment. Unless Steve stopped him. But John was there first. The Iraqi soldier turned to face John as though sensing a presence. John held off momentarily, wary of breaking the silence. Once Steve reached him, they could take him prisoner. He stared at the Iraqi, a boy no more than 17 or 18. Their eyes met for an instant, long enough for John to see the fear on the young boy's face. He knew the boy had spotted him. As the Iraqi aimed his rifle, John beat him to it. He didn't have a choice. He had to take him out at close range. The sound of gunfire awoke the sleeping Iraqis. They swarmed from their tents, half-dressed but armed, firing a deluge of bullets. Steve raced towards the sandbags while John fired covering shots, but Steve didn't make it. A shot in his right thigh felled him. John had to break cover and drag him back. They made it to the sandbags. A bullet narrowly missed John, piercing one of the sacks which spewed a stream of sand onto the dusty terrain.
"Keep firing!"
shouted John, and Steve responded. As he gasped in pain from the open leg wound, he carried on shooting at the oncoming Iraqis. They held their position for several minutes. The enemy were still at a distance, and John was rewarded by the occasional sight of an enemy soldier dropping to the ground. Eventually, 3 other team members came to join them behind the sandbags.
"Come on, we need to get the fuck out of here,"
ordered one.
"Steve's injured,"
said John.
"You'll have to help me get him out while the others cover us."
They headed towards the exit, firing continuous shots to hold the Iraqis off. John and a colleague supported Steve between them, his legs dragging behind him and leaving a trail of blood on the ground. John was thankful when they reached their vehicles and broke away from the enemy. While he was caught up in the firefight, John didn't have time to think about the young boy he had killed. That would follow in the months after he returned from Iraq. The young boy's terrified face and splattered insides would return to him in sweat-drenched dreams, night after torturous night. Chapter 1. Saturday, 8th of June, 1996. Rita walked in front of her family and greeted them before taking her seat at the front of the church. Her mother, Joan, was seated to her left, resplendent in her new outfit from C&A. To the left of Joan was Rita's father, Jed, looking uncomfortable in his one best suit. As Rita cast her eyes across the front pew, she noticed him loosening his shirt collar and adjusting his tie. Furthest away from Rita and occupying the inside seat of the pew was her brother, John, nervously awaiting his bride-to-be, with his best man, Tony, buoying him up. Rita smiled at John before switching her attention to her husband, Yansis. Rita felt mixed emotions as she thought about the absent family member. It was 5 years since her sister Jenny had died, but on days like today she missed her more than ever. This was the first time Rita had returned to Manchester since Jenny's death. She lived in Greece, where she and Yansis ran a restaurant. Her sister's demise had been such a traumatic event that Rita had taken a lot of persuading before she'd agreed to return to Manchester. But how could she miss her brother's wedding? So here she was, but only on the condition that she went nowhere near the Riverhill Estate, the place where it had happened, the place where her parents still lived. Although Rita no longer lived in Manchester, she thought of her sister daily. She always would. Every time she looked at her son's face, she was reminded of Jenny. Because even though Rita and Yansis called Daniel their son, it was Jenny who had given birth to him. As Rita thought about Jenny, she gazed with affection at Daniel, who was shuffling impatiently in his seat between her and Yansis. "It won't be long now till the bride gets here," she whispered as she took in his familiar features.